Well, if you've got a lot of money and you pay for it, so what? You'll use what you like. You say, I'm paying for it, I don't have to pay for it, in that sense. And you take power, they relate some of these things to power. You compare your power bill with your water cost. It's many, many times, water has to be a lot dearer than it is today for that sort of behaviour to become significant. We're paying of the order of, say, $300 to $400 a year for our water. We're paying a lot more than that for our power. Some people are paying that in about 6 weeks for their power, 2 months anyway. So if water is going to be, the use of water is going to be governed by the cost, then it'll have to rise 4 or 5 times over its current price to us. The other thing that I sort of finished off in my thing was a little snapshot going back from '86 to 2008. When you look at the costs for water there and the usage of water, the costs for the residents has gone up dramatically. The cost for businesses has stayed about the same. The cost of the water from Greater Wellington has remained at about $12 million. Wellington's water has gone up from $24 to $33 million in that time, their costs. And the bulk of that, or no more than the bulk of it, the greater amount than the difference is met by the residents. So that's part of their shift of moving costs from businesses to residents, and you can see that very clearly in those figures. One other thing I was going to say about that, I've just forgotten. There we go. It won't come back to me either.
It's not easy when you haven't got your PowerPoint.
No.
So, how
so
they've done well.
Oh no, one other thing I was going to say about water supply, if I might. That's another huge issue. The Greater Wellington, I don't know if Brian was involved, but in 2006, that there was a series of MCA, multi-criteria analysis.
Could you say that a little bit?
MCA, do you know MCA at all, multi-criteria analysis? You know they've talked about this Wakatiki Dam and the 143 million that it's going to cost and so on. The way they decided on that was through a system called multi-criteria analysis. And there were 3 groups they had doing that. There was Greater Wellington councillors, Greater Wellington staff, and customers. Would you remember that? Now, they were fed information from limited sources, limited experts. Multi-criteria analysis is meant to have experts involved. People are meant to be informed. Informed doesn't mean I'm telling you something and you repeat it back to me. Informed means that you have some basic knowledge. And I think their whole system was quite flawed. It was done by Montgomery Watts and NWH. And the results then came up with the Wakatiki Dam, which means, in fact, that Wellington is proposing to have virtually all of its water supply dependent on the Hutt River and its tributaries. They've downgraded the supply from Wainui, which is the Wainui and the Orongorongo rivers. And the reason they've downgraded that is partly because of power costs. I think, no, I don't know why it is really. Sorry, this wasn't not for that reason. The reason they've downgraded it is because water from the aquifer is cheaper. They're really punishing our aquifer. They nearly set off the alarms in January, February 2008, low-level alarms. If you do that, then you're in danger of salt intrusion into the aquifer, which would really destroy it. But their big thing, and the big information they were fed to cut out the more storage capacity in Wainui, was crossing the Wellington Fault. We've seen in the paper this week how there's other faults as well. 49 others, I think someone said. There's a lot of other faults. There's some major faults. They've got all of their supply coming down the Moonshine Fault, which is part of the Ohiria Fault. And they're putting all their eggs into that basket. I was saying to Brian earlier that in Alaska, in the Denali Fault, Denali earthquake in 2002, They had a gas pipeline crossing a fault, not running along it, but crossing it. And it moved 5 metres one way and 1 metre another way and remained intact. So to say that you can't cross a fault is nonsense. You can engineer to do it. So putting all their eggs in one basket on a faulty premise has been part of the multi-criteria analysis. I've heard it from Maria Archer that that's the reason. I've heard it from Murray Kennedy of Greater Wellington, that's the reason. That's the reason that's quoted in publications from Greater Wellington. So you can't, if you feed garbage into your system, you're going to get a faulty result out. So it's a great pity, but that's our system of water at present.
Well, thanks, Frank.